Are you just getting into fitness, trying to make your own routine, but not sure what's important and what's not? Or have you been training for a long time, but you feel like making decisions about your training routine is too complicated? Well, I'm here to simplify that for you. So we'll start with the 80-20 principle, and that is that we want to find those things which are the most effective, the biggest bang for your buck, that cause 80% of the results. We want to put all of our focus on these things and ignore the rest until we've really got the basics down. Generally, I think people spend way too much time focusing on the specifics of exercise variations, squabbling over whether the full body split or the push-pull leg split is the best, whether you need 3 biceps exercises or just 2, how soon you should eat your protein after a workout, and other minor details like this. These details may be important for small percentages, but it should be obvious that they're not responsible for 80% of the results. If they were, then we wouldn't have people arguing both sides. If workout timing or exact exercise selection were that important, then you'd have people getting drastically better results on one, but not the other. But what do we actually observe? There are people dogmatically devoted to all different methodologies, and many of them from all different camps seem to be getting good results. So what's the obvious conclusion? That there's some good and some truth in all of them. So in this video, I'm going to lay out a step-by-step guide of what I see as the most important factors for training, without any of the details that make just a small difference. And don't forget to take a moment to smash that subscribe button if you want to help spread the word about becoming an autonomous lifter and help simplify the world of fitness training for normal people who just want to be healthy and to be able to do fun, cool shit. Okay, step number 1 for things that really matter in fitness. Choose exercises that relate to your goals. If you want to bodybuild, then you probably should be working nearly all the muscles in your body. If you want to get strong for a specific sport, consider the muscles and movements involved in that sport and focus on those. If you just want to be healthier, compound, simple movements will give you a good bang for your buck and transfer better to real-life situations than most isolation exercises. Step number 2, based upon your goals, choose exercises. Compound exercises should form the basis of your workouts. Then you can fill in any identified gaps with relevant isolations. Use whatever variations or apparatus you prefer or you have access to. Body weight is fine, barbell is fine, dumbbell is fine, machines are fine. They all have pros and cons, but they have much more in common than not, as long as they involve the same fundamental movement pattern. The fundamental movement patterns are as follows. Vertical pushes. These include dips, handstand push-ups, and overhead press. Variations of any of these are also great. Then we have horizontal presses, including push-ups, bench press, and the incline press. Vertical pulling, which are pull-ups, lat pull-downs, and chin-ups. Horizontal pulling. This is any sort of row, such as ring rows, cable rows, or dumbbell rows. So that's the entire upper body. For the lower body, we have squats. Body weight, barbell, dumbbell, Smith machine, all of it works. And finally, we have hinges. These are deadlifts, RDLs, good mornings, hip extensions, etc. So those are the basics. Those are the ones that you should spend the most of your time on. It's much more important that you're working on those than which variation you work on specifically, such as the conventional deadlift versus the Romanian deadlift versus a sumo deadlift. So choose some of those. Then, pepper in any isolations for things that you don't feel are getting worked adequately by those. I won't give any specific recommendations here, but these are things like bicep curls and shoulder external rotations. Try to keep each session that you perform under an hour. Why? Because it's easy to schedule into your day, so you'll actually do them over time, and it's pretty hard to continue trying hard for more than an hour. We're just being practical here. You can use paired sets of pushes and pulls or of upper body and lower body in order to save time because you can rest one muscle group while training the other. 6 to 10 exercises is enough per workout. Strive for quality over quantity. I'd rather give more intensity to less exercises than less intensity and focus to more exercises. It's those hard, absolutely focused repetitions that force your body to adapt, not the easy ones. Step 3, choose a method of progression. Double dynamic progression is my favorite. You choose a dynamic rep range, say 6 to 10 repetitions. You start with a weight or resistance that you can barely do for the bottom end of that rep range. Then you add repetitions each time, and when you get to the top of the rep range, you increase the intensity a little bit by adding a small amount of weight or choosing a more difficult progression, and then you go back to the bottom of the rep range and work your way up again. You continue like this forever. We progress based on a chosen intensity, which is a perception of how hard the entire set feels. Using the RPE scale, or rate of perceived exertion, 1 would be extremely easy and probably not worth doing, and 10 would be a maximum all-out effort where you couldn't possibly do one more rep. So you can shoot for a specific RPE for your total set. RPE 7 to 9 are pretty good for this. The higher the RPE, the less total sets you would do, because the stimulus for each set will be much stronger. So if your sets are RPE 7 to 8, I'd say 3 to 5 sets is good per exercise. If you're going to RPE 9, maybe just 2 sets. Or you can just take your sets to absolute failure. If you're actually hitting failure and failing a repetition, then the stimulus will be enough to improve so that you'll see more reps or weight automatically over time. If you're going to failure, just stick to 1 set because it's harder to recover from. Aim for a total of 8 to 40 repetitions across all sets. Set size should be 3 to 15 repetitions. Any lower and the intensity will be too high and you won't be able to get enough volume, and you also risk injury. And much higher than 15 and it'll be very hard to accurately judge your RPE because each additional rep is so easy. So that could look like 4 times 8 to 10 repetitions at an RPE of 7, or 1 times 8 to 12 reps to failure, or 3 times 6 to 9 reps at RPE 8. Step number 4, keep a training log. Write down each exercise, the weight used, reps, sets, etc. Note how each set feels and any form cues that you want to keep in mind for next time. Note any aches or pains and what you think might be causing them. These subjective notes are how we progress form over time. After your last set, using the method of progression described above, set a realistic goal for your next session. Can you add 1 kilo? Can you get 2 more reps? Aim for that and commit to doing it. Step number 5, rest until you feel excited and physically able to complete another workout. That means finishing the workout and doing more than you did last time by the method of progression that you just chose. If you don't feel that way, rest another day. For most people, this should be 1 to 4 days of rest. If you need more rest, you probably aren't recovering very well, or you chose too many exercises or too much intensity. Step number 6, auto-regulate. So this is how we change our programming and we learn from our experience and grow over time. The training log is instrumental for this. If we realize that a certain exercise isn't giving the stimulus we want, for example, if you're not feeling the lats properly in a pull-up, experiment with different form cues and different variations. Notice if certain movements are giving you pain. Can you modify the range of motion to accommodate this? Does extra days of rest help with this? Are you sleeping better or worse than normal? Then longer term, you look at your progress. Is your progress still great? Well then keep it up, don't change anything. Is it slowing on certain movements? Consider changing up variations. You could go from barbell squats to hack squats. If a significant portion of your exercises begin to plateau, it's time to switch things up. Go back to step 1, choose a different program based on your new improved abilities and any updates to your current goals. And then start again. Try a different rep range, at least with certain exercises. See which one works better for you. This process of iteration through actual first-hand experience is how you learn and improve in the long run. And that is how you access that last 20% of the gains that are locked up in the nuance and the detail of training and the nuance of how it applies to your own body, your own lifestyle, and your own exercise execution. And that's way more important than whatever another person says is the best exercise or form cue. And step 7 is lifestyle. You'll eventually notice, as all people do, that if you get better sleep and more of it, your results will be better. If you eat more real food and less fake food snacks, you'll feel better. If you stretch and do some aerobic training, you'll recover better. If you learn to manage mental stress via meditation or some sort of introspective practice, you'll recover better and feel better. You'll realize that exercise is just one small pillar of health and be interested in optimizing your whole life. It's a lifelong journey and it's just getting started. Come along for the ride.